What is up, party people? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jamila. This is JemilaBeReadin because I do be reading. And we're doing my October wrap-up. I read some books this month, so let's talk about it. I don't know why that was so awkward. Anyways, October was an alright reading month for me. I feel like nothing really super stood out until literally today. I finished a book literally 20 minutes before filming this video, so I'm still digesting those thoughts. I did read some books for a video that will be going up before this, so I'm going to just talk about those real quick, get it out of the way, and then if you want to hear deeper thoughts, you can go ahead and check out that video. So for that video, I just wanted to read some witchy themed books. I was hoping to get it up by Halloween, but alas, it was not meant to be, so it's gonna go up a little bit later. It's mostly edited, but I was trying to finish this book that was just a lot longer than I thought it was. But anyways, first book I read for that video was The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This is a adult contemporary fantasy-ish romance. It's been taking the online book community by storm. Unfortunately, it did not take me by storm with it. I gave this one 2 stars. I wasn't the biggest fan. This is a story following Vivian and Reese, who had a whirlwind romance when they were 19. It ended badly. Vivian, in a fit of rage and despair and sadness, curses him, not thinking it was actually going to work. I forgot to mention these people are witches. This town is magical. But she didn't think it works, blah, blah, blah. 9 years later, they come back, and he is experiencing a series of unfortunate events, and things are now going kind of wrong in the town, and they have to team up to figure out what's going on and to stop this curse, and obviously pursue a romance. So this just did not work out for me. I thought it was a little bit silly. I thought it was a bit contrived, and there was a really annoying part in here that I talked about in that vlog, so you can go ahead and check it out. But I did not like this. It was, especially the first third of this book was so hard to get through. It was so boring to me. But, it seems like a lot of people enjoyed this, and I wouldn't discourage you from reading it if you just wanted a quick, light, witchy read. But it did not work out for me, and I didn't really care for any of the characters in this, really. So then I read The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. This is a YA contemporary fantasy, and in this book, witches have their magic tied to the seasons, and our protagonist Clara is an ever, meaning that her magic is tied to all 4 seasons. She's the first ever to pop up in a century. A lot of people are relying on her, especially because witches help regulate the climate, and because of climate change, witches are being drained and dying because they're unable to deal with the constant changing and the fast-paced changing of the climate. So she is struggling to control her powers. She has a lot of trauma surrounding her trauma that makes it harder for her to want to control it. So it's definitely a more character-based story. There's not a lot of plot driving this, which was kind of unfortunate because I didn't particularly care for Clara as our protagonist, although I do like the character development that she went through throughout the book. Again, this is not a book that I would discourage anyone from reading, especially if you are the target demographic. I thought it was a really interesting take on witches, but unfortunately it just didn't quite land for me all that much. I think I just wanted a little bit more explanation, and I think there was just some stuff that the author missed some interesting opportunities, I will say. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It was alright. It was pretty easy to read. Again, if you are a younger person, I think you would really enjoy this book. Then I read The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. This is a horror fantasy that is following our protagonist, Emmanuelle. She is from this puritanical town called Bethel that is ruled by the prophet, which is their religious leader. She's kind of an outcast in this town because her mother cavorted with magic in this dark forest, and also she fell in love with someone of another race. So there's this whole stuff wrapped up around it. She's just trying to keep her head down, follow the rules, live a religiously pure life, but she keeps getting drawn to this forest. There's also some secrets that are being revealed about the prophet and all of this stuff. She meets his son. They are like kind of trying to figure things out. It's kind of a mystery a little bit as well. I really enjoyed this one. I was trying to figure out what I would rate this. It's like somewhere between a 4 and a 4.5 stars. There was nothing like, I can't like say that there was anything wrong with it, but it just didn't feel like a 5-star. I know that's so annoying to hear, but I think this was really well done. I really liked the commentary on the patriarchy, on feminism, on race, fighting that. It was great, and it was very interesting, and I thought it was so atmospheric as well. I think Alexis Henderson did a really good job of writing this town and the feel, and especially the descriptions of like the people in the forest. It was so spooky. I mentioned in an Instagram post that I think this would make a really great adaptation. I can see this as a cross between an A24 film and something directed by Guillermo del Toro. I think that would be an awesome movie. But I really liked this one. And lastly, for that video, I read Blood Like Magic by Lascelles Sambury. This is the book that I literally read and finished 20 minutes before filming this. So my thoughts are not super there, so you'll have to go and watch my vlog, reading vlog, to see my thoughts on this one. But this is a young adult fantasy, also following witches, because that was the theme. Voya Thomas is our protagonist. She is going through her calling, which when a witch turns 16 in this world, they go through their calling, and that's when they come into their powers. So she fails hers, but gets an unexpected second chance, and she has to destroy her first love. If she doesn't, not only will she not pass her calling and not get her magic, but everyone in her family will lose their magic as well. So there's like very high stakes. There's a lot going on. It's really good. I'll just say that. This is definitely like a 4.5 star book. I really enjoyed it. I'm still working on my thoughts right now. So again, go check out my witchy reading vlog to hear my thoughts on this. And then in terms of everything else that I read, I spent a lot of my time reading these 4 books. So that was kind of most of what I read, but I did read a couple of other books outside of that. So firstly, I did read a romance, Satisfaction Guaranteed by Corelia Setz Waters. This is a queer contemporary romance that is following Cade and Selena. Cade is like working for her family's art gallery. They're like really well known in the art world. She is very much like a strict, tight like person who just like likes to follow her rules and just like focus on work. And we have Selena, who is an artist. She also was working at Cade's aunt's adult toy store, and after Cade's aunt passes away, she leaves this store to Cade and Selena to co-own. They have like 30 days to get it back on track because there's like a lot of debtors who are like waiting for payment. Things kind of just like fell apart. So they have to like work together to basically like fix the store. They obviously fall in love, and I thought it was okay. I gave this one 3 stars. I honestly can't remember much at this point. I read this like literally at the beginning of October. I just didn't really care for both of these characters all that much. I felt like the romance was really rushed, and we didn't get a lot of like moments to watch them fall in love, you know? And I wanted more of those moments. I wanted to see them like talking more before it kind of just went straight into like, I really like you. But it was fine. Again, I don't dissuade anyone from reading this one. Like, it was okay if you want like a quick and easy romance to read. Yeah, I don't like regret reading it at all, but I just wanted a little bit more out of it. Then I read The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I read this for my alpacas, my little book club with my 3 other friends. This one was a bit difficult for me to rate, but the more I have sat with it and the more I've like talked about it with my friends, I'm going to settle on I liked this book. I think I like have similar feelings as I did after reading Empire of the Wild. I think it was like, I need to reread this book at a later date and like sit with these themes a little bit longer, just because I think there was just a lot going on. And I don't know that I like Stephen Graham Jones's writing all that much. I tried to read The Last Final Girl, I think that's what that's called, earlier this month as well, and I ended up DNFing it because it was just like really hard for me to get through. But The Only Good Indians is following 4 Blackfeet men who find themselves being tracked down by this vengeful entity as a result of something that happened in their past, something bad that they did. This is definitely tackling themes of like racism, intergenerational trauma, and tradition. I can't speak to how well it was done, but based on reviews and I guess my own general inclinations, I thought it was well handled, and I thought it was like really intricately woven into the story. But yeah, I don't know, I did an Instagram review for this, and in that review I said that I think a lot of the reason why I struggled with this book was my reading experience, and that was on me, not on the book, because I waited until the last minute to read this book, and I was about to Skype with my friends to talk about it the next day, and I saved most of it for like the night before, so I had to like really push through. And this is definitely not a book that you want to rush through. Like, you really need to like take your time with it. The writing style really forces you to like read every word, because any twist or something that can happen can turn on a single word. And so I feel like I keep saying I don't dissuade. Obviously, none of my videos are meant to dissuade someone from reading a book, unless I actually say, like, this book is terrible, don't read it. But this one, I would say, if you want to read it, give yourself time to read it and don't rush through it, because I think you'll have a better reading experience if you take your time with it. But I don't know. I thought it was really, I do think it was really good. It was just like such an interesting reading experience, and I think it was very like smartly done. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that book. Then I read another adult contemporary romance, Not My Type by Evie Mitchell. This is the first book in the All Access series. I guess I didn't rate this. I'm like looking on Goodreads and I didn't rate it. I think I would give this one like a 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was really quick to read. But I did think it was very insta-lovey, and the third act breakup felt very contrived. But overall, I really liked it. So this is following Frankie. She is a sexologist. She is also the host of the All Access podcast, which is breaking barriers, crushing stigmas, and creating sexual connections that are fulfilling for her fans. So she gets like a listener question, and they're asking about accessible rope play. She hasn't had experience with that. So she goes to this guy, Jay, to learn more about this. Is his name Jay? His name is Jay. To learn more about this, they strike up a relationship. It's a really quick read. It's like shorter than I was expecting. I think it was only like 200-ish pages. And I think that was maybe part of my problem. I think it needed like another 100 pages. But yeah, it's like a pretty simple premise. I really liked the discussions about like consent, and like they had like a very communicative relationship, which I really enjoyed, until the third act breakup, which just like seemed so out of character because they were like communicating so much with each other. And I was like, how refreshing. And then that happened and I was like, ugh. But anyways, I like the conversations about consent and, you know, boundaries and disability. Again, I cannot speak to how well the representation was done in this, but it was just really refreshing to read. I enjoyed it. I will be continuing on with this romance series, and I do recommend it. Except I did not like the third act breakup, which I am now repeating over and over again. And then lastly, I read a mafia romance. I don't know when I'll learn. I keep trying to read more dark romances, and I just don't think dark romance is for me. This one wasn't bad. I read Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. This is the first book in the Brutal Birthright series. It's a mafia romance, as I said. We're following Callum Griffin, who's the heir to the Irish mafia. We have Ada, who is the youngest kid and the only daughter of the head of the Italian mafia. They don't get along. Callum and Ada specifically also hate each other. Some situation happens that forces them to get married. So it's like an arranged marriage / marriage of convenience trope. It's also enemies to lovers, and I will say this is probably one of the better enemies to lovers I've read. They hated each other, okay? And I was kind of here for it. My good sis Ada, like, literally tried to murder this man. Well, not murder him, but severely injure him the day of their wedding and sends him to the hospital. And I was like, girl, you wild. But overall, I don't think we had enough of them again falling in love with each other. It just like all of a sudden happened, and I just needed more. I wanted more like quieter scenes with them. I wanted more of them getting to know each other. Overall, it was fine. The spicy scenes were a little not great, kind of corny. But yeah, not as dark as I thought it was going to be, which I guess was good for me. But it was fine. I gave this one like 3 stars. And that is everything that I read in October. All my links are down below, and I'll see y'all in the next video.